The big news, though, Eli Manning is on Twitter. Oh my God, it's finally happened. And he came out hot, and I was like, wow, is this going to be Eli Manning for the rest of our days? And of course, no, it was all a ploy. It was all like a sponsored thing with like Frank's Red Hot for that charity golf event with Peyton Manning, Phil Mickelson, Tiger Woods, and Tom Brady, which I kind of forgot was on. And then I tuned in for like the last, like presenting the check. I was like, great. Everyone's talking about it. I missed it. Way to be, Neal. But yeah. Eli was just tweeting to promote that charity event and to promote Frank's Red Hot, apparently. Came out firing. He had a pretty couple good tweets here and there. I think he he roasted or he burned Tom Brady. Had a nice little humble response to Saquon. A little back and forth to Sean O'Hara. So you love to see it. Came out firing with a Jimmy Chitwood from Hoosiers quote. Oh my goodness. And then I don't know. I've been on Twitter kind of here and there, so I don't know if he's keeping up with it. But it'd be interesting to see if he tweets it. From what I've heard. So I guess I could say this now. Maybe not. I don't know. I have a friend who married a girl whose cousin is cousins or friends with Zach Diassi. I partied with Zach at a bachelor party in New Orleans. Awesome dude. And, the word on the street is that Eli, like when you get together with him, he just does not want to talk football. He wants to talk about anything else except football. And like, I guess he won't even watch the game. So I was curious to see, like, is he going to watch Giants games and then tweet about it? But it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. Of course, that's not the top story in the world of the New York Football Giants. Top story is Deandre Baker. So I'm very thoroughly confused by this story. And I guess this kind of ties into what I'm going to finish on with Black Lives Matter and George Floyd. But how in the fuck is he accused of armed robbery with his friend Quentin Dunbar at a cookout, at a barbecue? He's accused of armed robbery. There's details about how he has a gun. He's brandishing the gun. He had lost $70,000 in gambling or playing something at someone's house like the day before or earlier. I mean, details about how he and Quentin parked their car a certain way so that they could escape easier after they rob people. And this I just don't understand. It's like you're rookie on a rookie contract. Yeah, it's not as great as it could be down the road if you perform well and then you go through free agency and you're still making millions of dollars. And yeah, maybe you don't have all those millions of dollars right off the bat, but you still have a hefty sum of money. So losing $70,000, unless you're living some kind of lavish lifestyle where you're just plowing through your cash reserves, which, I mean, it happens with players. You buy your mom a house, you buy your buddy a Escalade. It's like, it can go fast if you have a huge entourage. But like to lose 70,000 and then to go through armed robbery when it's like, dude, do you think you're going to get cut? Like you have 3 years left on your contract. So that's where it's like confusing. Like, why would he what? And he like told someone else to shoot someone that was entering the party because he didn't want them to go run away and tell the police. And it's like, these are details. It's not just like, oh yeah, he robbed us. And it's like all these witnesses corroborated that guy and that guy pointed a gun, threatening us, taking watches and cash or whatever valuables that total about around 70,000, I guess, to cover the loss from the gambling, and then telling someone else to kill that guy that just walked in. It's just like, that's confusing, but maybe it happened. I don't know. Maybe he's that dumb. He doesn't have the best reputation, falling asleep in meetings, being late, looking sluggish and lackadaisical on the field. blowing coverage. I don't know. Maybe it is true. And then the lawyer comes out. His lawyer comes out and says, "Yeah, charges should be dropped by the end of the week." It's like, what? I mean, there was a manhunt for him, and he had to turn himself into police because it was like, this is probably what happened. But then the lawyer said that Baker has an alibi because he was logged in on a Madden video game at the time of the alleged crime. I mean, I guess that's an alibi. I mean, I have not played Madden online ever. I don't play any online video games because, I mean, I'm a fragile, flower, and I can't take the abuse. So I don't know how that works, but it sounds to me like, couldn't anybody just be logged in as his username? Couldn't that be an alibi in itself? Like, hey, I'm about to rob these fools at this barbecue, this cookout. Little Joe, can you like log in as me on Madden so it looks like I'm playing a video game? Like, that seems like a pretty easy thing to do. Unless like you're on Twitch and like there's a camera on you and it shows you like during with a timestamp. I don't know. So it looks like so now the witnesses are cooperating and saying and changing their testimony all of a sudden. So it's like, so what? They just made it all up? Like all these people got together and said, hey, we're going to get these two dudes arrested because we don't like them or something? Or do we think that Baker and Dunbar made a deal and cut a deal with all those witnesses and was like, listen, I know I'm going to get paid. I will pay you guys off in installments. But then why would he go and rob them just to pay them for their silence? It's like, cannot wait for all the and we probably won't even get all the details. That's what's so maddening about this. This was so John maddening about this. The New York Post has also been doing a series of articles on what if, which is what happens when there is nothing going on in the sports world. You look back at the past. Nostalgia Village. And the one that I latched onto was so we did, I think the last episode we did, what if the 2000 Mets signed Ken Griffey Jr. Spoiler alert, wouldn't turn out that well. We might not have gotten David right, which is crazy. But the 2008 Giants, which I've talked about on previous episodes and I've blogged about on numerous websites, and it's good to know that it haunts the players just as much as it haunts me that we did not go to the Super Bowl that year when we had home field goddamn advantage and we beat all four championship teams that year. Steelers, Cardinals, Ravens, Eagles. We had beaten earlier in the year. Of course, we lost the Eagles in the divisional round. And it's all because, like, what if Plaxico Burress didn't shoot himself in the friggin' leg wearing sweatpants at a club? Which I still, like, the words coming out of my mouth, I still can't believe to this day. Sweatpants with a gun tucked in your sweatpants at a nightclub. Ay, ay, ay. I think this was either O'Hara or Deal that said this, but quote, we were easily better than every team in the NFL that year. Easily. I think there was Sean O'Hara. 2008 Giants players reflect on a season of dominance and regret. I mean, they were. They had Jacobs and Ward both had 1,000 yards. And then you also had Bradshaw with like another probably 500 yards on the ground. I mean, just running all over everyone. Cris said, it still haunts me. As he ended up watching every game from the 2008 season, including the divisional round loss. Yeah. Eagles did not have anyone that could cover Burress or contain Burress for an entire game, I don't think. And, even in that, I need to go back and watch that I mean, I don't know if I have in me to do it, but go back and watch that divisional round game and see like where we fell short. I think there were 3 drives that stalled. They had 3 turnovers, and there were a few drives that stalled in the red zone or the green zone, as Coughlin called it. Oh man, that was a rough day. I remember going to, what the hell is it called? By my buddy's place. He lives right by the Best Buy, above the Best Buy on 23rd by the path. And we went to Rogue or something like that on 25th on the west side, 25th and 8th to watch the game. And it was just depressing. And then I ended up sexting my ex-girlfriend. Oof. That was a bummer. That was a bad Sunday. But yeah, we get past the Eagles, and then what? The Cardinals have to come to us in the championship. There's no fucking way the Cardinals are winning that game in East Rutherford. And then we play the Steelers in the Super Bowl. And we had already beaten them once in the regular season. I mean, that's not a guarantee that we're going to beat them again. You know, we've seen that plenty of times where the roles are reversed. But yeah, that we definitely should have won the Super Bowl that year. It's amazing, though, that one player can change the outlook of a season. I mean, they keep saying we were 10-1, and I think we're 10-1, and then we beat the Redskins, and Plaxico didn't play that game because he had like a hamstring issue or something like that, and then it happened. Or I guess he wasn't going to play in that Redskins game anyway because of the hamstring. And then leading into that Redskins game is when we found out. So they went 11-1. They beat the Redskins, but then they lost, 3 of their last 4, 12-4. Not great. Not great going into the playoffs. And the players mentioned that too. They said, well, in 2007, we finished on a high note. Even though we lost the Patriots, we competed with them and we pushed them to the edge with their starters and our starters. And then we ended up sitting our starters in that last. They said we sat our starters in that last game against Minnesota, which I think we lost. So you sit your starters the last week, you have a bye week, and then you come out without Plax against the Eagles. So yeah, recipe for disaster. Amani Toomer called out the current Giants wideouts. He was critical of Sterling Shepard. He brought up an old quote that I guess his old coach used to say. Quote, he's hell when well, but he's sick all the time. I mean, yeah, dude. Really would love a full 16-game season as Sterling Shepard. That would be sweet. And then he also added that Golden Tate. I mean, Amani Toomer just loves. I mean, he's almost like a version of Tiki Barber. So you can imagine what that huddle must have been like back in in the early 2000s, late, like 2002 to like 2006. What that huddle must have been like. Just fucking Tiki, Amani, Plaxico, and Jeremy Shockey. Eli must have just been like, "Guh." But Toomer also added that Golden Tate is a tougher version of Sterling Shepard, which, I mean, I know concussions are a sensitive issue, but like Golden Tate had to have had 2 concussions last year and kept playing, which I'm not advocating. You should not do that, and I think it's unwise to do that. But Sterling Shepard was not able to do that. So I don't know. And then he also said that he finished by saying that Darius Slatyon has the most upside. Good thing we handed out that monster contract to Shep. Ugh. So yeah, the Giants wideouts are getting a lot of heat, and it's kind of deserved. You know, they've been criticized for not being able to stay healthy, for not creating separation. And that was one of the main things heading into the draft that people thought they needed to pick up a wideout or 2 to give Daniel Jones some tools that can actually make a difference. And they ended up going with a couple of undrafted guys that have been getting some positive reviews. So we'll have to see about that. I also watched the 1990 NFC Championship game, rewatched that against the 49ers. And, I think it's been a while since I watched the full game. How about Maurice Carthon dropping a sure touchdown from Dave Meckett? How about that? Could have changed the face of the game. Jeff Hostetler actually got hurt and had to leave the friggin' game. It looks like he was done for the year, the way he was being carried off. And Matt Cavanaugh came in and looked real bad. So I can only imagine what the rest of that game must have been. That was the third quarter, fourth quarter. But if Cavanaugh finishes that game, there's no way the Giants win. So, I mean, I was not a huge Hostetler fan because I was such a big Phil Simms stan for so long that I didn't want Hostetler stealing the job from him. So it was kind of bittersweet. But looking back, it's like, good job, Haas. My goodness. Maybe he didn't have the accuracy that Phil did, but his ability, I mean, even when he was hurt, his ability to escape the rush and make plays with his legs. I mean, just like, holy macaroni, dude. And then the other takeaway I had was the fake punt with the up man, Gary Reasons, on 4th and 2. I mean, the balls on Bill Parcells to call that when, you could punt it right there. And then who knows? I mean, your defense has been outstanding all year. It's one of the best defenses the Giants have ever had. I want to say it was the best defense they've ever had. Better than the 86 team. But my God, a fake punt on 4th and 2 in your own territory. And I think it is the fourth quarter. And to be honest, Reasons could have scored. Reasons, I mean, you could tell he's a linebacker because he didn't know where the hell to go. He just ran directly at the punt returner. It's like he pointed at the punt returner and then ran directly at him. It's like, I guess he wanted to run him over, but it's like, dude, you have so much real estate on either side of that punt returner. Just make a move. And then Matt Barr. Holy shit, Matt Barr. Coming up so goddamn clutch. I mean, that last kick was just scooched in. I think he also missed a kick. I think he missed a kick or two. No, he missed one kick, but it was like it was not, it wasn't I'm sitting here having never kicked a field goal in my damn life saying it's easy, but he missed what is considered by many to be an easy field goal. So that wasn't a sure thing that he was going to hit that game winner. I like pleasure spiked with pain. It's my aeroplane. So I watched the Emmitt Smith game. If you're not familiar, this was it was a 1993 regular season game, but it took place in January 94. And it was not the full game. It was just highlights. And goddamn, man. I mean, what a goddamn performance by Emmitt Smith. But the Giants had their opportunities and just let it slip away. So it stinks because I really do think if the Giants win that game, they have a bye, so they can rest up and lick their wounds a little bit. And then I believe they play a home game in the divisional round, and they don't have to go to San Francisco and get their asses handed to them by the 49ers. So I was just thinking about, I found an old post I did for NFL Spin Zone that was, it was, what if the Giants had signed Cris Carter in 1990? So apparently Buddy Ryan, Carter was with the Eagles, and Buddy Ryan couldn't handle him, said he had too many off the field issues, and said all he does is catch touchdowns. And Bill Parcells was like, you need to come to Giant Stadium right now, as soon as he heard that news. And they were fully prepared to sign him. And then because the Vikings had a worse record or something like that, they scooped him up. But can you imagine Cris Carter on the Giants? That 93 season would have been a little different. So, and I also, in that article, I said that Bill Parcells wouldn't have left, which is a very bold statement. It's like you win in 90, and it's like you just signed this Cris Carter who, like, he did okay in 90. But, like, is that enough for you to stick around for more years? I don't know. Victor Cruz, this is a kind of an old news item, but Victor Cruz says the Giants boat trip photo will haunt him for the rest of his life. A lot of haunting going on for Giants players now that there's like not a whole lot of sports going on. It's like we're just going to look back at the past and relive just haunting performances. Yeah, dude. I mean, if you don't go on that trip, do you win that game? I don't know. I mean, the wide receivers had a ton of drops, and it's one thing if they had a bye week and they go on the bye week and then go to Green Bay and after a bye week, maybe that's one thing, but going game week is another thing, I think. And Victor Cruz, even though he was not, I think, what is he? He was 30 at the time, 29, 30 years old. He is the veteran guy of that group, and he could very easily just say, hey, let's take it easy. And that was a game that they had a ton of drops, especially in the first half. And I think I blocked out and blacked out that game from my memory because I just don't want to relive it. But I watched a compilation on YouTube of like all the drops that the Giants had, and it was egregious, dude. Beckham dropped a touchdown. Shepard dropped a touchdown. Shepard dropped a first down. OBJ dropped a first down. I mean, who knows? They score the touchdown there. They score the touchdown there. They get a first down there. Maybe they score another touchdown. And it's like we don't lose by fucking 20 some odd points. We had such a good defense that year too. Such a good defense. And the offense just could not get their fucking shit together. I also watched Daniel Jones' top high school highlights. He looks the same as he does now. It's like so bizarre to me. I mean, I remember watching like Tony Romo's high school highlights, and I'm like, look at Romo. I mean, you can kind of see he has the same throwing motion and whatnot, but it's like you can tell it's just like so high school. Daniel Jones looked like a professional in high school. He just didn't look, he looks so out of place. It's like watching, who was it? DeForest Buckner, or was it Calais Campbell in high school? There was someone that's just like, you should not be allowed on the same field as these other people. You're like 6'9", 300, and everyone else is like 5'10", 190. But yeah, anyone who says he can't throw deep, I mean, there were plenty of examples in those high school highlights where he's like on the money throwing deep. So yeah, and his ability to run. It's so interesting watching him run too, because it's like, oh boy, it's like it's like any scene. Well, I mean, made famous by Star Wars, but I think like in Moana, this is how much of a dad I've become. I'm fucking referencing Moana, but like when the Kakamura or whatever, those little coconut guys are like after Moana and Maui's like trying to escape on the canoe, and the Kakamura or whatever on these huge ships, and they're closing in from all different angles, and it's like you can see he's gonna have to like squeeze through a tight space, and he like Millennium Falcon ish type maneuver where he just is able to get through. That's Daniel Jones running the ball. That was a long-winded way of saying you watch Daniel scramble in high school, and it's like you see all these people closing, and you're like, oh my god, he's gonna get like sandwiched, and then he just Millennium Falcons it via Lando Calrissian through the little tight space on his way to the end zone. This is old news too, but might as well mention it. The Giants picked up 5th-year options on Evan Engram and Jabrill Peppers, so it looks like they do have some faith in Engram. And Peppers. Engram will be paid somewhere in the ballpark of $6 million. Peppers will get around $7 million. I mean, it's probably a little high for those two, but I don't think it's like a gut punch. The odds makers have the Giants favored in only 2 games in 2020. I mean, go F yourself, bro. The Redskins and Cardinals, which, I mean, we're really going to look at a fucking 2-14 season. I cannot buy that. All right, so let's do it. Giants 2020 schedule. Should we do it? Should we do it? Should we do it? Might as well. Here we go. Week 1, Steelers, Monday Night Football, home game. I don't know what to think of the Steelers. I mean, Big Ben's back, and he like shaved the beard, and so everyone thinks, oh wow, he's back. It's like, okay, he's back. I think Big Ben is going to endure a season similar to Eli's season last year, where it's like he starts to show that he doesn't have the mobility anymore, maybe the arm strength or what have you. And, I think the Giants take advantage of that. I posted about what I thought the record was going to be. And I think I said this was an L, but it's close. I think it's a winnable game. At the Bears, I think we win that. I think the Bears are just like in a state of disarray. They have fucking 10 tight ends, which is outrageous. Home against the 49ers, that's a loss. I just think San Francisco is going to bounce back after last year's Super Bowl debacle and come back with a vengeance. Then we're at the Rams. I think that's actually going to be a win. I don't know. It might be a little crazy to say, but I think the Rams, they got rid of Gurley. I think they have a lot of players leaving because they weren't able to pay them, and they're not able to keep their team together. And I just think they're just like, it's going to be a weird year for them. I don't think they're going to be able to really pull together with all those losses that they had via free agency. Then we are at the Cowboys. Will be an interesting game. I think Jason Garrett might give us a little intel that we could use against Dallas, and will make it at least a little more interesting. I think in the past, it won't be like last year's game at Dallas. I'll say that much. So that's a loss. Then I have home against the Redskins. That's a win. At the Eagles, we just cannot figure out the Eagles, especially in Philadelphia. So I think that's a loss. I think it's a Thursday night game too. Blech. Thursday night game in Philly. That's a loss. But then we have some extra time off for a home game against Tampa Bay. I think we give Tom Brady a run for his money. Who knows how Tom operates in the Bucs system? A lot of people are saying that I was one of them, that he's going to take him to the playoffs as a wild card. But who knows? I mean, we almost beat him last time he was at MetLife in 2015. Should have beat him. Landon Collins holding on the damn ball. So I think that's a Sunday night game too. Ooh, back-to-back primetime. Day before my birthday is at the Redskins. I have that as a W. So I think that's a loss against the Bucs. I think it's a loss. At Redskins, it's a W. Home against the Eagles. We just got to figure out the friggin' Eagles. I don't know that we can. So I have that probably being an L. At the Bengals, I actually have that being a win. And I know that's who knows how Joe Burrow comes out and plays. Maybe he just lights it up. They went very heavy on offense in the draft, got him a couple weapons. So, and I know that I don't think we've won in Cincinnati. Did I see that stat? Yeah, I think it's a real stat. Neither team has won an away game in this series, but I think we get the W this time. It's the game after Thanksgiving, so what up? Yeah, because we have a bye after that Eagles game. So we have 2 weeks to prepare for the Bengals in Cincy. I think we get our first win in Cincy. At Seahawks, that's a loss. I just can't fathom us actually. Just can't do it. Home against the Cardinals, I think we win that. Home against the Browns, and I think OBJ comes out and has himself. I think he's going to play his dick off and play his heart out and try and show everyone in New York that we made a mistake. And maybe he'll put up a huge game, but I still think the Giants come out with the victory. And then I got to move my phone home against at Baltimore. That's a loss. And then home against the Cowboys. And I really want that to be a W. So let me see if I can pull up. So I think I had it 7 and 9. Oh, yeah, this fucking code, dude. I don't know. So let me look here. So we got 0 and 1, 1 and 1, 1 and 2, 2 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 3, 3 and 4, 3 and 5, 4 and 5, 4 and 6, 5 and 6, 5 and 7, 6 and 7, 7 and 7, 7 and 8. Yeah, so I had 7 and 9, but I could see us doing 8 and 8 or 9 and 7. I think this could be very similar to. So yeah, I mean I forget who did this, but the 5 storylines to look forward to: Andrew Thomas versus Chase Young. We're gonna get to see that twice a year, and I think Andrew Thomas is gonna come out on top every single time. Of course, Odell coming back. That's gonna be a ridiculous game, even though it's late in the season and probably both teams won't be in the hunt. It'll still I'll tune in for that shit for sure. Brady the Buck. It's going to be weird seeing Brady in a Tampa Bay uniform, and maybe he doesn't capture the same magic with the Bucks as he did with the Patriots, but I'm probably on the wrong side of history there. We get to see Kyler Murray and Isaiah Simmons, the guy that we all thought we were going to draft. We'll see how he comes out and plays. There are a lot of people saying that Xavier McKinney is a better version of Isaiah Simmons, which is a little. I think they're stretching it a little bit, and there's a little bit of bias there. And of course, Jason Garrett returning to Dallas is the other big storyline. I will say, I watched the 1981 season yearbook, which I love that they're putting those on YouTube, narrated by the late, great Frank Gifford. The 81 season was really super interesting. It's Lawrence Taylor's first season. You had Phil Simms start the first 10-ish games and go 5-5. And then Scott Bruner, that 1980 draft pick, comes in and does not play that great, but goes 4-2. And so the Giants go 9-7 based on their defense was just insane. It was the Crunch Bunch: Harry Carson, Lawrence Taylor, Brian Van Pelt, Terry Jackson at one corner, Mark Haynes at the other corner. I want to say Bill Neal, rookie defensive lineman, who ended up not staying with the team. And then on the offensive side of the ball, you had Phil, and then you had a bunch of guys that, other than I think Billy Ard, I didn't really recognize any of the guys on offense. It was maybe Ernest Gray, Byron Williams, maybe. I don't know. So just shows you how far your defense can take you. And then to go into Philly and beat the Eagles in Philly, who were the defending Super Bowl champions. Do I have that right? And to beat them is just incredible. And then they ended it towards the end of the video. They said it was the first Giants win was it in Philly or against the Eagles? First Giants win against the Eagles since 75 or something like that. Oof. So that kind of got me thinking, and it's but I think this year's team is more similar to the 84 season yearbook. The 84 season, we went 9-7 and got a wild card. Ended up going 2-8 Anaheim to play the Rams, who we lost to earlier in the regular season. Phil was just like lights out, threw for like 4,000 yards, which I think he was the first person or one of the first people to have 4,000 yards in a one of 6 or something in NFL history at that time to throw for more than 4,000 yards. But that draft class was just like insane. It was like Carl Banks, William Roberts, Gary Reasons, Aliaja Sheik. I actually have it down here somewhere. Definitely one of the best draft classes. I actually wrote a blog post about it a few years ago, 4 years ago, for G-Men HQ. Class of 84, I had them as the 3rd best draft class, Giants draft class of all time. They had 1 first-team All-Pro, 3 Pro Bowl selections, 37 combined years as a primary starter at their position, 47 total seasons played, a total approximate value of 262, and average approximate value per season of 28. William Roberts, Carl Banks, Jeff Hostetler, Gary Reasons, and Lionel Manuel. Don't get no better than that, son. I mean, it does, because that's 3rd. Second, I had the class of 83. Leonard Marshall, Perry Williams, Terry Kennard, Carl Nelson, and Aliaji Sheik. Such a great name. So, yeah. And I'm telling you, it feels like the last 3, Gettleman gets a lot of shit, but the last 3 draft classes, I think, are comparable to 83 and 84. And even maybe 85. I think the 85 class wasn't that bad either. I think Bavaro was in that class. So I think there's a lot to look forward to. There was an article by Ryan Dunleavy that said that Giants rookie Cris Williamson could be the defensive version of Darius Slatyon. His position coach at Minnesota said he's got feet like a corner, but he's built like an inside slot nickel, and he can cover from depth as a safety. He's really physical, fitting the run. He's not going to shy away from contact. When he learns something, he's really good mentally. He got better and better every game once he found his role. So might have got a diamond in the rough there. This year's defensive version of Darius Slatyon. Logan Ryan is still available. Can we just talk to the guy? You know, he was one of the free agents that I thought we would target, and he's still available, which is just bonkers to me. I don't know what's going on there. But, you know, in a very youthful secondary where like James Bradbury at 26 is your oldest defensive back, maybe you want Logan Ryan in there just for a little wisdom. If we go 7-9, I'm happy. I know that's not the goal here. We got to make the playoffs, but it feels like we're like the 84 team. The 84 team, according to Frank Gifford, who's narrating that yearbook on YouTube, said the 84 team was projected to be like dead last by everyone across the board. Consensus dead last in the NFC East. And, you know, they surprise a lot of people. And I think that's what can happen here. I think 7-9 is not that far-fetched. And if the ball bounces the right way, maybe it's that home game against Dallas. Maybe it's the opener against Pittsburgh. You know, you could go 9-7, get a wild card, especially with, I guess, now 7 teams making the playoffs. So don't count out the Giants. I'm very excited. I'm looking forward to it. You know, if all these rookies get all those jitters out of their system and they don't have their sophomore slump, you're looking at, I mean, you could be looking at potentially a reincarnation of the Giants defenses from the 80s and 90. I really do believe that.